Chapter 4. Tolo and Killen. Next thing you know, we were walking in a forest once more. The forest was full of nothing but silence, except for the rustling of the leaves under the gorilla's knuckled hands and feet. It was quiet. I looked at the gorilla I was on. He was so much better than when we had first found him.
I muddled the question over in my mind. How can anything heal that quick? But I thought it best not to ask that, so I asked, "What shall I call you?" He turned his head enough to look at me out of the corner of his eye. "My princess, my name is Tolo." Then he turned his head forward again, saying nothing more.
Lily, who was behind us on the silver gorilla, asked, "May I know your name?" Tolo said, "His name is Killen. He doesn't care much for humans." Killen spoke out, "I can tell the princess is my name." Tolo snorted and walked on. Lily asked Killen, "Can we fly?" With that question, he leaped into a tree, then to another from trunk to trunk, till they were high above the ground. Killen jumped down when he reached the top of the trees, dropping at an angle. Just as it seemed that they were going to hit the ground, he opened his white wings and went upward into the sky. Lily was holding on so tight, her knuckles turned white. She opened her eyes, and a big smile formed on her face. She exclaimed, "That's more fun than a roller coaster." Killen laughed a hearty laugh, held tight, and did a loop. Not truly knowing what a roller coaster was, he thought it had to be a compliment. Lily clung on tightly to his neck. "Killen, would you like to be friends since we will be on this journey together?" Killen said, "I am your guide and protector." "Oh, okay," Lily said, lowering her head, disappointed after hearing his answer. Killen turned his head. "If you would like, I would be honored to be your friend." Lily hugged his neck tighter and said, "Killen, thanks. As for me and Tolo, we were walking on ahead, scouting the terrain before we came to it. To break the silence, I asked, 'Tolo, who is the Ancient One?' He replied, 'It's not easy to explain. It's not one creature but more. They are the ones forgotten in time.'" Still confused, my curiosity got the best of me. "Tolo," he replied, "yes. Why do creatures here all have pendants, and how can you talk, being an animal?" Tolo answered, "They are our past, passed down through our families. When we are born, the father's and mother's pendants form a third, in rare times, a fourth pendant with the power of both the mother and father's pendants. When we're older, the pendants show our rank in our clan and what our future could be." "Then why do we have 3 each?" I asked, holding one of the pendants. Looking at its strange design, Tolo shrugged his shoulders a bit as if uncomfortable with my question. After a moment of thinking, he answered, "Your pendants were given to you by the ancestors of time. They give the ones who wear them knowledge and power of each land the first bearer came from." While thinking of this, he talked on, "My pendants are strength and nobility, and Killen's are beauty and flight." I replied, "Tolo told us sister and I will find out what our pendants represent when it's time." While we were still talking, a twig from a tree above us cracked. A small little creature fell on my head. I screamed loudly as it came to my hands, trying to get it off. Tolo was already grabbing the creature by swinging his arm around. He hit off my head, pinning it down on the ground. He blew a hard breath of anger into the creature's face. "Apologize to your princess, or I'll break your neck." By now I was off Tolo's back, still shaky, but I managed a look over at the little creature. I looked at the poor thing trembling in fear of what might happen because of his hasty actions. I didn't feel that the creature meant to hurt me, so I said, "Tolo, I am fine, please." Tolo released his grip on the small creature. The strange creature was the size of a small rat. He stood up slowly on his back legs that resembled a kangaroo's. With a face more like a mouse, his mouth showed a pair of long large teeth protruding from his muzzle. Still cautious of Tolo, he came forward enough to stand at my feet. "Forgive me, I didn't know of your nobility. I was trying to find someone I can snatch some food from, but never you, my princess. If I had only known of your presence in the forest." "But why take others' food?" I asked. The creature said in a jittery voice, "The trees no longer bear fruit. Lady Lana has made the forest lose its will to live, and to give the creatures life from its life, giving fruit." "You poor thing!" I thought to myself. Tolo didn't seem to carry the same feeling. He stared at the little creature, finally blurting out, "Forgive my words, princess, but this creature should be punished. He knows of the laws. All must forage for themselves, or move on to a place that still may bear fruit." I couldn't believe what Tolo was saying. I had to say something. "Tolo, this creature is much too small. He couldn't leave the safety of the trees. A bird would spot him and have a meal of its own. I am afraid that we have no food to give you, and you mustn't steal to eat." The creature with tears in his eyes asked, "Then what should I do?"
"I cannot chance the life of my family to leave, nor is stealing right. I ask humbly for your wisdom." By now Killen had landed. Lily got off his back and picked up the green pendant from around her neck. She then buried it in the soil, placing her hands on the dirt mound, and said, "Colac." From the mound of earth, green grass grew, around it spiraling out into the trees until it filled the whole forest. The trees started to bear fruit. The fruit grew at such a fast rate, all the trees seemed to be getting their life back again. Digging up the pendant and putting it back around her neck, Lily smilingly said, "Now you have enough food to feed your family, little one." "Thank you, my princesses. I will never forget this." He climbed a tree and started to pick some fruit. On that same tree he took it inside a hole partially hidden in the trunk, where his family must have been. We could hear the squeals of delight from the hole. He peeked out and waved good-bye as we climbed back onto Tolo and Killen's backs. Killen said, "Princess, the pendants gave you the wisdom to help the creatures back there." Lily mentioned, "Killen, it's all so strange. I'm a little afraid of it all, and grandmother must be worried by now. Please, though, call me Lily." Killen said, "All right, Princess Lily." Lily said, "Just Lily is fine." Killen nodded his head. "Lily, power can be overwhelming to the point of it overpowering its owner. You must keep faith in yourself, as would your grandmother. You and your sister must never exceed your abilities. She knows of you being here, for she has been here at one time in her life as well." Lily couldn't believe it. Then why did she leave?